I'm an ape.
Yeah.
Are you, Bishop?
I'm not.
Okay.
Definitely I'm not.
Well, I'm an ape. I'm an African ape.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be an African ape.
Yeah.
And so should you.
Human beings are still fish.
Human beings are fish?
Why, yes, of course they are.
You're a single cell of annoyance that has crawled out of the primordial slime and just put on a bad shirt and like a cheap tie.
Good, okay.
And, I got more. You're facile, you're sort of imbecilic, you're ill-informed, you're ill-educated. You've got to admit that. You've got the sense of humour of an 8-year-old.
People often say, where are the intermediate fossils? Show us your intermediate fossils. There are plenty of intermediate fossils, and one of the best examples is whales.
Well, you know my name is Simon, and I like to do drawings.
The modern whales are up there. Here's a series of fossils back in time.
I like to draw all day long.
Dorodon about 36 million years ago, Rhodocetus about 47.5 million years, Pachycetus about 48.5 million years.
So come and do drawings with me. Come and do drawings with me.
And you can see they form a lovely series of intermediates.
Hello, my name is Simon. I like to do drawings.
As you go from old to young, Pachycetus, Rhodocetus, gradually losing the hind legs to Dorodon, which has almost lost the hind legs completely. Modern whales have completely lost the hind legs. There are some vestigial bones, some remnant bones buried deep inside the body. A lovely series of intermediates getting progressively more and more specialized in living in the sea.
I like to do drawings.
If you look at Pachycetus, which is an old fossil whale, you see that the nostril is just about where you'd expect the nostril to be, near the tip of the snout. Whale. Whale.
I like to do drawings.
Whale.
I like to do drawings.
Whale.
I like to do drawings.
If we move on 1 million years to Rhodocetus, you see that the nostril has moved backwards on the skull, backwards along the snout.
So there isn't a process, as it were, going on in the cell saying, look, be patient.
No.
It's going to be a feather, believe me.
Yes. It doesn't happen like that. There's got to be a series of advantages all the way in the feather. If you can't think of one, then that's your problem, not natural selection's problem. Natural selection, well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith on my part, since the theory is so coherent and so powerful. Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
Matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
Rhodocetus.
Evolution scientists claim the most spectacular intermediate fossil in whale evolution is Rhodocetus, an animal with 4 legs, a whale's tail called a fluke, and flippers. It would swim using its widened tail fluke like a modern whale, but it had 4 legs like a land mammal. A perfect transitional fossil between land mammals and aquatic mammals, just as Darwin predicted.
The fossil whale that appears a little bit later is Rhodocetus, and this animal had large tail vertebrae that indicate there were lots of room for muscle attachment. So here we see the beginning of the type of locomotion that's characteristic of the modern whale, using just the tail flukes for propulsion and not using the hind limbs.
We have a complete modern whale-type structure in Rhodocetus. There are not many modifications from Rhodocetus to the modern whale other than changes in size of the structures.
When this video series was being filmed on location at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, the executive producer noticed a discrepancy between museum drawings of Rhodocetus and the fossils.
I like to do drawings.
The reconstruction of Rhodocetus had a whale fluke, but there were no fossils of the tail to confirm this. Dr. Phil Gingrich, the scientist responsible for the discovery and reconstruction of Rhodocetus, was questioned how he knew there was a whale fluke on Rhodocetus, since that part of the fossil was missing.
What was the reasoning that the scientists think there was a fluke on Rhodocetus based on the other pieces of anatomy?
Well, I told you we don't have the tail in Rhodocetus.
It's a matter of faith.
So we don't know for sure whether it had a ball vertebra indicating a fluke or not. So I speculated it might have had a fluke.
I like to do drawings.
It's a matter of faith.
Scientist Gingrich also acknowledged that the flippers were drawn on the diagram without these fossils. Now, he does not believe this animal had flippers. Again, his answer was surprising, since the museum diagrams had flippers on Rhodocetus.
Now, since then, we've found the forelimbs, the hands, and the front arm, the arms, in other words, of Rhodocetus. And we understand that it doesn't have the kind of arms that can be spread out like flippers are on a whale. And if you don't have flippers, I don't think you can have a fluke tail and really powered swimming.
I like to do drawings.
It's a matter of faith.
And so I now doubt that Rhodocetus would have had a fluke tail.
Now, if you look at a modern whale, that's a dolphin, a modern dolphin, you see that the nostril is right up near the top of the head. That's the blowhole. The nostril has moved right backwards. Now, a really surprising thing is which animal is the most closely related to modern whales among modern animals. And the answer, astonishingly, is the hippopotamus, which is classified in the even-toed ungulates, the cloven-hoofed animals. So what we now believe is that there was an ancestor which was a cloven-hoofed animal, before 55 million years ago. A little bit before that, the ancestor gave rise to other cloven-hoofed animals, and then later than that, there was a split between the lineage leading to whales and the lineage leading to modern hippopotamuses. It's molecular evidence as well as fossil evidence that shows that hippos are the most closely related modern animals.
Many experts consider whales to be the best fossil evidence for evolution, but are unaware of these discrepancies. Opponents of evolution contend that whale evolution is nothing more than hopeful supposition. If museum diagrams are redrawn and corrected for various discrepancies, opponents argue that whale evolution is non-existent.
Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith. It is a liberating thing to free yourself from primitive superstition.
So religion is a primitive superstition?
Oh, I think it is, yes.
So you believe it's liberating to tell people that there is no God?
I think a lot of people, when they give up God, feel a great sense of release and freedom.
Why do you think that? I mean, what's your dad? What's your scientist? What's your dad?
I think, well, I've had a lot of letters saying that, and I've...
There are 8 billion people in the world, Dr. Dawkins. How many letters have you had?
No, I haven't done that. That's quite true. Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
No, I haven't done that. That's quite... Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
No, I haven't done that. That's quite... Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
No, I haven't done that. That's quite... Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
No, I haven't done that. That's quite... Well, I suppose that is a sort of matter of faith.
I like to do drawings.
No, I haven't done that. That's quite...
He's a scientific ignoramus and a fool.